I'm cool with Daffy. That's my dog, that's my duck. But I warned him well that this video would suck. Since there have been minimal changes and the script was stuck, it seems he's run out of luck. It's about time the response reaper struck. We got another anime community video added to the library. This is a loose response to Daffy's Reason video about fanservice and sexism in anime. I respect his opinion. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I am offering another point of view. It seems that online, the general belief is that male characters can only be sexualized when they're butt naked, but female characters can be sexualized in an infinite amount of ways. I don't know about y'all, but that kinda sounds sexist to me. Let's break this down biologically. It is generally agreed upon that females having large busts and bottoms is a form of sexualization, but is there a male equivalent? Well, these fall under secondary sexual characteristics. Women mainly have wider hips and increased body fat in breasts, thighs, and hips. I'll call these curves. What are male secondary sexual characteristics? Muscle mass, strength, body hair, broad shoulders and chest, and bone density. That would be the male equivalent of curves, and I checked with GPT just to get all the facts straight with minimal bias. So if having high quality curves is the way to sexualize female characters, then having high quality muscles is the way to sexualize male characters. For some reason, it feels like people aren't aware of this. If I wanted to be petty, I could include facial and body hair, but I won't. I have to throw a bone to the opposing argument though. Curves and muscles are both the main sexualizer for the respective genders, but in a story, muscles have more purpose than curves. I asked GPT about it, and it told me that muscles were for defending territory and competing for mates and resources, hunting and gathering type stuff. It's obvious, but I asked anyway. This translates to stories because greater muscles often indicate that the character is physically strong, which is relevant in all types of stories, especially action. What about curves? Wider hips are for childbirth, and the body fat is for energy reserves that assist in childbirth. Now, how often would that be relevant in stories? Muscles have an extra purpose in stories outside of attractiveness, while curves often don't. But if I throw you that bone, then you have to throw me the bone that it's not society's fault. That's just natural biology. If you really wanted curves to have a purpose outside of attractiveness, you could write more stories where childbirth is a major component. That's unlikely though. That brings us to the main topic. In general, I don't have a problem with the sexualization of characters, but there is this narrative that certain types of media, like comics and games, are sexist and misogynist because they sexualize female characters. In order to be sexist, you have to treat the sexes differently, so if commonly ignored muscles are nearly as prevalent as curves, then it wouldn't be sexism, since both sexes would be sexualized. In order to find out which sex is sexualized more, you'd have to actually do a good experiment with a large sample size. I don't care enough to do that. I'm not interested in engaging in oppression Olympics. I just care about whether the ratio is close or not. Using the eye test on what I consume, I would say that the ratio tilts slightly in females' favor. Slightly. Let's look at some examples. I mostly stick to entertainment aimed at males that I consume because that's where I hear the sexist arguments being made. I'll start with my comfort zone. Battle manga. Kinnikuman or Muscle Man has been argued to be the first battle manga. The main character is a ripped guy in his underwear. I haven't read it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's more where that came from. Fist of the North Star has a shredded protagonist bearing his arms and chest. Sometimes he even rips off his shirt. A lot of the important characters are men equally as shredded as he is. In DBZ, the story is dominated by males and nearly every one of them is ripped. Furthermore, they wear outfits that bear arms, skin-tight suits to flex, and they get battle damage that shows even more muscles. We're talking about arguably the most iconic battle manga here. The scales were heavily tipped towards males, but post One Piece, they started going the other way. Female characters became more important, curves became more prominent, and muscles decreased as a way to signify strength. Muscular men aren't entirely gone though, they've just become more lean. One Piece, Fairy Tail, One Punch Man, and MHA are the last to frequently have muscular men. Slightly off topic, but if you go to superhero media, whether it's movies, games, cartoons, or comics, you'll arguably see more shredded male characters than curvy female characters. In games like Street Fighter or God of War, you can also find muscular men of unrealistic proportions. Some of these guys have biceps and hands the size of their heads, like they're on steroids. These are just a few examples that come to mind. If you're really invested in the subject, you can run your own experiment. Now, I can get into the specific claims of the video. Daffy calls out Orihime's outfit in Thousand Year Blood War for being highly sexualized, but ignores Chad, who is right beside her, wearing a more sexualized outfit and showing off more muscles than she is showing curves. Apart from him, I saw a lot of people complaining about Orihime's outfit, but no one said anything about Chad's. Same age, same arc, same screen time. He also called out One Piece bodies. This is the same show with characters like Morgan, Arlong, Enel, Frankie, Lucci, Garp, Katakuri, and Kaido. Do you see the shoulder width on some of these dudes? And then Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp were showing off a lot of muscle in their original timeskip outfits too. He mentions JJK had no fan service, and jokingly ignores Mei Mei, but Maki and JJK Zero had her legs out, and Yuki's last outfit was sexualized. But what amuses me is that on screen, he's showing Sukuna, a shirtless, jacked man. Toto is another prominent character, who's often shirtless to show off his muscles. This is not just a Daffy thing though. Like I said before, it seems like men's muscles are always ignored as a form of sexualization or fan service. Maybe it's because we're both men. I could give him that, but if I say that, then women have no excuse for ignoring male sexualization. In the video, he said that fan service impacts how men see women in real life. I don't think so. Here's why. Violence in video games is a topic that has been researched and yielded conflicting evidence. Some studies say that shooting games make people violent. Some studies say there's no connection. Wikipedia says there's no connection. ChatGPT says there's no conclusive evidence. So if actively shooting people in a game doesn't have negative effects in real life, why would sexualize characters? Furthermore, he used the ridiculous word objectification. I doubt he was using it malevolently, but it's often just a bad faith word. Once again, I went to AI for an unbiased description of sexualization versus objectification, because when I've heard it, people use them interchangeably. Look at some of my response videos for evidence. If you look at GPT's key differences, objectification is purely negative, but it also assumes ill intent, which is a logical fallacy. If Daffy says, Hiyuki is attractive and I want her to crush me with her thighs, how do I know if he's adding sexual meaning or reducing her to a sexual object? Does that mean anytime someone compliments someone's appearance is objectification? If I compliment my friend for gaining muscle at the gym, is that objectification? To me, it's just a buzzword to make something sound worse than it is. Finally, Daffy referenced me when talking about body image. Like he said, in my experience, when it comes to muscular male characters, the response is generally, how can I get a body like that? When it comes to curvy female characters, the response is generally, why does she have a body like that? It's anecdotal since there are no studies on it, but let's do a quick experiment. If I Google Goku's body, there are multiple workout results about how to get his body. If I search for it on YouTube, there are multiple workout videos. If I Google Nami body, I see one video mocking the realism of her body, one post discussing how people feel about it, and 2 workout posts. On YouTube, it's just fan service scenes. The reason I chose these 2 examples is because they're arguably the most popular anime examples of muscles and curves. Let's continue. Toji body, Saitama body, Garo body, Kenshiro body, even Natsu body. I see several workout routines when Googling. These are arguably the most popular muscular men in anime, which is why I chose them. Let's look at the most popular curvy women in anime. Lucy has one workout, and like Nami, it's Superhero Jacked, a fitness site with character workout routines. Urza has nothing. Robin has one workout from Jacked, and one video complaining about how gross her and Nami's bodies are. Orihime has one post complaining about her sexualization. What's funny is that Chad is right there in the frame, but he's ignored. The comment even points that out. Tsunade only has Jacked. I'll stop there because I'm not performing an actual study, but I do think that I somewhat convinced you that it isn't just anecdotal. Try this on your own with muscular men and curvy women. I'm pretty confident you'll get similar results. Overall, if you're letting fictional characters negatively impact your body image, that sounds like a you problem. They're not real people. They're drawings, pixels, and CG models. Let them inspire you, or don't let them affect you at all. In conclusion, whereas female characters are sexualized through curves, male characters are sexualized through muscles. If you don't like sexualization for both sides, that's fine. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing, but before you throw out the sexist label, examine your own sexism and hypocrisy. Consider that by not acknowledging muscles as sexualization, you might be arguing that female bodies are inherently more sexual than male bodies. Instead, count the quantity and quality of the male muscles and compare that to the female curves, then make your judgment. You might realize that these media aren't as biased as you think. The response reaper rests this case.